So tomorrow it'll be a beautiful day out in Pennsylvania. I hope that they have a good time. Former President Donald Trump is going to the scene of the crime. The Butler Farm Showgrounds is where the first assassination. It's weird that you even have to say the first assassination attempt, but that's when it took place. July 13th was unlike any other rally, any other day, as we know. So what's different this time around? Well, I reached out to this guy. He's been on with us before, the Black Rhino Group, Frank Roberson. Over 23 years in his career as executive protection agent. He is a counterintelligence expert, and he heads up the Black Rhino Group and joins us now. Hey, Frank, good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Appreciate you guys.
I know that they've obviously they're doing something different, a lot of stuff probably. Give me, without a laundry list, but what are they going to do differently in Pennsylvania for this one, especially at this place?
Well, this is going to be a big day. This might be the most anticipated and watched political rally ever, I'm guessing.
Wow.
The mistakes that were made last time were so basic, and the perimeter, the whole thing we've talked about before. And there's the dynamics beyond the methods and tradecraft that they're going to put together for this time around that cause a little bit of, the Secret Service blamed local law enforcement at first, and then local law enforcement this last week went in front of Congress and laid out what really happened. So how is that communication really going to work? Are you, is the lead agent from before still there? Is the advance team still the same advance team? There's going to be some media there, obviously, and they're going to be looking to see what's different. Who's on the AGR building? Is there anybody on the water tower? But there are going to be things that we won't be able to see. The counterintelligence unit, are they going to be in the crowd this time? Are they going to add extra perimeter, bigger perimeter? We might be able to see that. But there's a lot of things that are going to go on today that, we can see and we won't be able to see. But, it's a big day. It's not like, you hear golfers all the say when they go to the Masters, it's just another tournament. For the guys that are with Trump every single day, that's probably true. But for the leadership of the Secret Service, for Homeland Security and everybody watching, it's a big day.
This on tomorrow in Butler, Pennsylvania. I get it. For Donald Trump, he's going to be on message. I don't know if he'll reference last July or not. Really, that's sort of secondary. I think really everybody is watching more, like you said, the perimeter in that, because clearly the Secret Service cannot afford another attempt or even to catch somebody. Well, no, you know what? That might be a victory. If they catch, like at the golf course, if they catch somebody, I can't imagine somebody would try anything at this one, though. Do you?
No, I would have to say. If it was my detail, you're going back to the same location. You have to have been there the minute there was an idea of him coming back, because remember we talked about the imagination of the advance team what they need to have. If you can possibly imagine different things that could happen, the bad guys have already thought of those things. Have the maintenance crew changed? Has any employees at the AGR building changed? Have they hired on some new people? What's going on in the trees if they've extended the perimeter? Has anything changed around where they would have the stage this time? There's all kinds of things that are added to your list when you're coming back a second time, let alone after an assassination attempt.
That'd just be a nightmare, man. Is there one, they've got to have one czar, because didn't they have multiple agencies before, not even talking to each other? They must have, in your experience and opinion, wouldn't you think there'd be like a czar over the king over top of all his security?
There's supposed to be the lead site agent is supposed to be that person. Now, the Secret Service is, I don't think, ever going to allow anyone else in their super tight little bubble where their comms and all that kind of thing. But I bet you there's a law enforcement representative in the command center this time, because if there's any communication between law enforcement that needs to get to Secret Service, there's going to be local law enforcement sitting next to that person. I would be willing to bet you that's one change that we won't see, but that has to have been changed.
Now, a lot of details, obviously, we're speculating because we're not going to get those details. Obviously, they don't want anybody to know. One of the problems the first time they came out, though, was all these different, didn't they have like two or three different radio systems?
Yes.
There's got to be somebody probably handed. Would the Secret Service be in charge of one single, maybe this time, radio system?
No, I think it's going to be the same. It's just going to have better relay system, so to speak. So in the command center, last time you remember, local law enforcement said they weren't even involved in a briefing, and there was nobody in that command center for local law enforcement. So that 30 seconds between when that sheriff's deputy saw the shooter on the roof and the shooter pointed the rifle at him, he radioed gun.
Yeah.
That would have immediately been sent to the Secret Service if they're standing next to the agent in the command center. I think that's the communication relay that's going to happen this time. But you're going to have counter surveillance teams in there that will be in different sectors. And the way we would do it is they would intersect, and communicate back and forth. We got a guy in Section 4, check him out. We can see him from Section 3, that kind of thing. And we won't see that, but that kind of communication is critical, too, to pointing out anybody that might have slipped past the perimeter.
Frank, in your experience, when we talk about these inner rings, outer rings, middle rings, whatever, how far out normally from the principal protectee would that outer ring be? And maybe tomorrow, how far out do you think it'll be expanded?
A sitting president is typically between 500 and 1,000 yards, depending on the location. There have been guys that I've worked with on details over my career that were on presidential details that have sat in hallways in buildings 3 blocks away from where a president is going to be visiting. They're very detailed on that when you're sitting president. The one thing I worry about is when the golf course incident happened, the Secret Service director said that Trump had the same presidential package. But when President Trump was president, and he was at that golf course, there were Secret Service agents at those points that were the targeted weak points where paparazzi used to go and known areas of vulnerabilities. So I don't think he had the full package even at the golf course, even though that's what they said, because having a sniper doesn't help, because inside the golf course ring is more protected than the outer ring of the golf course. That's your vulnerability. So I'm hoping that they have this figured out this time.
Boy, they do. Can you imagine if they don't? It's unbelievable.
And you know what? That's why it's going to be probably the most watched and most anticipated political rally we've seen in our last wherever this generation. There are going to be people like I watch ice skating in the Olympics to see who falls. I mean, with
NASCAR.
My wife's sitting there making fun of me because that's what I want to see. In NASCAR, you want to see a crash. I mean, nobody wants to see the former president injured or anything, but that curiosity is going to get people, even his biggest critics, the stations that don't want to show that kind of stuff, are going to show his rally. I mean, this rally, there's a lot riding on this rally for Secret Service.
The Black Rhino Group, highly trained, experienced agents. These are guys who've done it. They've been there. They know their stuff. A lot of former military guys. They implement protection plans for counterintelligence, and they protect a lot of people. And Frank Roberson is the expert and the guy behind it all. And thanks for your expertise, man. You've had an opportunity probably more this time around than pretty much ever. Hey, Frank, we're up on time. I got to hit news, but thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Appreciate you guys.
See you, buddy. Yep.